Okay, so let's say you make $120,000 in United States, which is pretty common, and you probably have heard this, that I'm making 1 crore rupees in United States or $120,000, especially in the big cities like Bay Area, Seattle, New York. This is going to be like an average, starting salary, and it's totally possible. It's been glamorized so much. I want to show you what will you end up actually saving in your hand even after earning so much, because you have to still pay taxes, and there's going to be cost of living and all of it. So let's break it down in these 3 cities, and maybe you tell me if you want to do this for another cities or something like that in the next video. But hopefully this will help you to understand, like, okay, even if I make 120,000, I might actually only save this much money. If you're new to this channel, my name is Yudi, and on this channel we talk about everything related to studying in United States, to getting a job and immigration. So if you haven't already subscribed, then consider subscribing, and if you are back, then welcome back. All right, let's say you did make $120,000 a year without any taxes. So that means $10,000 will be your monthly income, again without any taxes, but you do have to file taxes. So let's start with tax. Starting with federal tax. Now this is going to be about $1,500 per month. This will be same because this is a federal tax. Now there is state tax, and Bay Area is in California, New York is obviously New York State, and Seattle is in Washington. Bay Area, you will pay roughly $557 per month. New York State, you're going to be like $544 per month, and you also actually have to pay New York City tax, which will be extra $320 per month. In Seattle, good news, it's in Washington, it's a no state income tax, which means you don't have to pay any state income tax, which is mind-blowing. But there is also something called FICA taxes, which is Social Security and Medicare. You do have to pay regardless of which city you are in. That's roughly going to be $765 per month. Now this can be waived off, especially for the first 5 years. I'll put some of the IRS link in the description. You want to make sure, again, especially if you're from India, there's like some treaties between India and United States. You can waive this off. So make sure you're not paying it. And if you are, then you can let your HR people know that, hey, I'm not supposed to pay FICA taxes, and you can get the refund back, or you can claim it in your tax returns. Another thing that you will have is health insurance. Yes, you still have to pay health insurance. A lot of it will be paid by your employer, but you still have to pay your portion. And again, this depends on which plan you choose. I am assuming, because this is what I do, $500 per month, which is HSA plan, which is a tax deductible, which means roughly $6,000. Again, if you are a single, this might be lower. If you are a family, which in my case I am, like me and my wife, so I can invest a lot more money of that HSA. I'll make a separate video about this whole thing, but in general, $500 is what the insurance will be. But let's say you did end up choosing like a HRA plan, which might be only $200 per month. So you might have some savings over there. But let's keep it for the simplicity, $500. Retirement savings. Now, something that you also get a benefit while working in United States, that you can have a 401k account, which is almost like your, a retirement account where you can invest certain percentage of your salary, assuming you do at least 3%, which will be roughly $300 per month. You're putting that. And again, this is where tax deduction. So if you put $300 every single month, that's $3,600, which you will deduct it from your overall salary, and you can then deduct that while you're filing your taxes. But hopefully you are doing it more than 3%, but at least 3% is what I would recommend. Now, one more thing I want to talk about quickly is that if you are an Indian in United States making money, then I'm assuming, just like me, you are also sending some money back in India for your parents, for paying off loan, for investing, whatever the purpose might be. But you might be doing that. And I have been in United States for more than 11 years now. And I have been sending money since like last 9 years. And trust me, I've used several different platforms, whether it be Remitly, Wise, or Zoom. And recently I came across Krobo Money, and trust me, they are by far the best when it comes to conversion rate. I am not kidding. You can look this up for yourself. You will find that they don't have any hidden fees, no transaction fees. zero transaction fees. Even if you're sending lower money like $50 or $100 for some quick transaction, you can still do that without having fees. But some platforms will charge you some fees on smaller amount and only give you zero fees if you do like $500 or $1,000. With Crovo Money, you don't have to do it. Plus, they believe in their product and security. They're super transparent about this. They are super secure about it. They will even refund you if anything goes wrong. And because you're part of this community and my community, you can get a special $25 Amazon gift card for your first transaction, which is over $500. I'll put the link in the description. Go ahead and check it out. And again, thank you Crovo Money for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about cost of living. This is where the game starts to change a little bit. Bay Area will cost you roughly $2,200 to $2,500. This is if you live alone. I know one of my best friends used to live in Fremont area, and that was $2,300 for a 1-bedroom apartment, which is crazy. But let's say you do end up deciding to live with your roommates. Maybe you have like a 2-bedroom apartment and you have your own room. This might be roughly $1,200 to $1,500. In New York, this is, very similar, $2,200 to $2,500 if you live alone, or same like $1,200 to $1,500 with roommates. This can go even lower if you end up deciding to live with students, because sometimes this can go lower, but let's keep it simple. But Seattle in this case is slightly cheaper. It will be $2,000 to $2,200 if you live alone, and it can go even lower if you live in suburbs. Like instead of Seattle, you can live in like Redmond or Bellevue, something like that. So it could go lower. And let's say if you end up having a roommate, it might be only $1,000 to $1,400. So we'll keep the ranges so that way you have a good idea of like, okay, it could be minimum this much, maximum this much. Now, assuming you don't have like a very, very fancy and luxury car, but you do have a car and you have a car loan, so another $500 per month. This could be more if you end up having a fancier car. And with the car, you also have to pay insurance. Yes, and that's going to cost a lot more money, especially if you're a first driver, like you don't have a driving experience, then your insurance cost goes higher, and then over time it is lower. So don't get into accidents, because if you have accidents, then the insurance cost goes higher. So roughly $250 per month will be your car insurance. Another thing that you will have is cost of living. Like you want to, like now you're working, so you'll have foods, eating out, bills, grocery, fun activities, watching movies, outing once or a couple times a month. In Bay Area, New York will be pretty much similar, roughly $1,500 per month. Seattle, this is slightly lower, which is roughly $1,200 per month. So you save a little bit over there. Now let's calculate all of this putting together as a monthly cost, assuming you don't have a student education loan. Like if you do have an education loan, then obviously this will increase another $500, whatever that EMI is. For Bay Area, the total savings that you could have after $10,000 of salary will be roughly $1,600 to $1,800 per month, or roughly $19,000 to $22,800 per year. In New York, you could save roughly $1,300 to $1,600 per month, or roughly $15,600 to $19,200 per year. But in Seattle, you could actually save $3,000 to $3,300 per month, or roughly $36,000 to $39,300 per year. So obviously Seattle wins when it comes to saving, especially not having a state income tax is like good, and slightly lower cost of living compared to New York and California. Now I know that New York might seem the most expensive, but also keep in mind that we did consider car payment, and most people in New York actually end up using public transport. So you might save that $500 because you might not have car and you might just use the public transport, and you have a pass because you will be using subways and trains. So again, it depends on your usage, etc. But in general, I think you will still save more in Seattle. That is what I've seen. Let me know what other cities you would want me to compare next. And if you are in one of these cities, does this feel like natural? Does this feel like accurate enough that, yeah, I think this is what we say? So I just wanted to provide you the reality that yes, even if you are making $120,000, doesn't mean that that's what you will have savings at the end of the year. You might only have like $20,000 saved up, and hopefully you are also saving for emergency fund and investing. So you might even have less and less of liquidity in your bank account. But I hope this was helpful. Let me know what other topics in personal finance you would want me to talk about. I've been in United States and I've done a lot of personal finance things. So I would love to talk about more about personal financing and help you in building wealth. So let me know in the comment section. But until our next one, keep smiling and keep hustling. Don't forget to check Robo Money, link in the description.